conflict. I mentioned that raptors are birds. This is a survivor of a parent-offspring, of an offspring-offspring conflict, but it is set up by the parents. Remember that if you have siblicide going on in a nest of eagles or hawks or egrets or herons, that it is the parents who have decided that there will be a competition in that nest, and they have done it by laying that many eggs into it. So this is something that's going on in the life cycle of just about every single one of these raptors. They have been through a very, very stringent period early in life. And of course, in female hyenas, there is something like that that goes on. So this is a case where we have all kinds of behavioral ecology and evolutionary ecology coming together. So hyenas are a case of female reproductive dominance. In the first week of life, the sisters fight viciously with each other. I learned last night that this happens in the Iberian lynx as well. One of the reasons that it's difficult for conservation biologists to save the Iberian lynx is that there are only 100 of them left, and they get a female into the breeding facility and she gives birth, and when the cubs are 1 month old, they start to kill each other. And that lasts for about a month. They just go at it, and usually there's only one survivor. Same thing happens in hyenas. It appears that there's overexpression of testosterone. Well, we know, we've measured it, not me, but Lawrence Frank and others have measured testosterone levels during pregnancy, and there's overexpression. And that leads to male mimicking genitalia. This is now used by females in dominance signaling, and it does have some consequences for copulation and birth in hyenas. And I think some of you have read one of the critical papers about this scenario. Okay? So the female hyena's reproductive tract has been heavily modified. Here is the embryo here, and this is her clitoris, which has now been modified developmentally by the overexpression of testosterone when she was in utero, and it is used for dominant signaling and things like that. This pattern, by the way, in a group of adult hyenas, there will be a dominant female, some subordinate females, and some males who have pretty subordinate behavior. And it's normally the dominant female who's doing most of the reproducing in that group. So there's reproductive suppression. And we'll now look at a couple of other cases of reproductive suppression. One of them is in dwarf mongooses. And this is a pretty radical case of behavior, okay? The dominant female does most of the breeding, and being in the group is quite critical. They have packs of about 8 to 20 individuals. This is one from a big pack, okay? They are voracious predators. They can eat lizards and snakes and spiders and scorpions. This is the remarkable thing about them. If a subordinate female dwarf mongoose has made a mistake and gotten pregnant and gives birth, and she's confronted by the dominant female, she'll go get the offspring and take them to the dominant female who kills them. She goes and gets her babies and delivers them to the dominant female, okay? So this, to us, is really a radical and upsetting thing. And it's just about the opposite of male suicide in redback spiders. Because what's going on here is that subordinate female in this reproductive system and under these ecological constraints is only going to be able to reproduce successfully in a group, and in order to do so, she's going to have to survive long enough to become a dominant female. The only way she can survive is to stay in the group, and the only way that she can become dominant is to stay in the group a long time. If she goes around having babies, she's going to get kicked out of the group. She will die and her babies will die. So if the option is either both of us die, both me and my babies, or only my babies die and I survive to try again another day, then they make the best of a bad job by doing this, okay? It certainly isn't optimal from any interpretation, but it's probably the best that a subordinate female can do under the circumstances. You wouldn't think that this kind of thing would be going on in the social life of something that looks so fuzzy and lovable. You know, they really are rather cute. But similar things are going on in meerkats, which are their relatives, you know, these highly social mongooses that Tim Clutton-Brock studies. And it's just amazing how much brutality and crime can be, you know, from the human point of view, can be packed into the head of something that's so fuzzy and lovable. So let's go back to our original questions. What